Shadowhunters Season 2 Episode 5, titled Dust and Shadows, definitely brought some OMG moments, and I'm going to share my 6 favorites on this episode of What Happened. Now, before I get into this episode, there was a big casting announcement that was revealed at the end of last week for this show. Who will play Sebastian? Now, this is obviously a big character in the books, hopefully going to be a very big character in the show, and he's going to be played by an actor named Will Tudor, who is best known for shows like Game of Thrones and Humans. He's going to be stepping into those shoes, and it seems like he is pretty excited.
Everyone has been so welcoming, and I'm having an absolute blast. The scripts are looking brilliant. So I'm so excited to see what you guys think of it.
So I'm definitely excited to see how the show will have Sebastian's storyline fit in, and if it's really going to follow the books pretty closely, or maybe what liberties they're going to take. What do you guys think about the casting of Sebastian? Does he fit the Sebastian you want? Maybe you want him to dye his hair, maybe he's not what you thought, I don't know. But for now, let's move on to Dust and Shadows.
You never know what you're gonna get back.
So this episode deals with the aftermath of the demon possession at the Institute and the death of Clary's mom, Jocelyn. The death has obviously had a big impact on 2 people in particular, Clary, obviously, and Alec, who was the one who murdered Jocelyn while he was possessed. Now, we spend the episode watching as Clary decides that she'll stop at nothing, or will she, to bring her mom back from the dead, and Alec struggles with the guilt he feels for killing Jocelyn. But like, come on Alec, really give yourself a break. Technically, you didn't kill her. So my first OMG moment comes courtesy of our favorite warlock, Magnus. We haven't really been given much insight into Magnus and his past, but tonight, it's a pretty OMG moment that happens when we learn that he has some major mommy issues. Clary visits Magnus to basically beg him to help her bring Jocelyn back to life, to which Magnus reveals it can only be done with dark magic. Actually, scratch that. Dark magic, aka it's really dangerous and even Magnus won't touch that. He tries to comfort Clary and tell her, you just have to kind of deal with it. You gotta let out the tears, you gotta give it some time, and that'll eventually heal all wounds, and not magic. Magic's not gonna really make things better. If anything we've learned from the show, it oftentimes makes things worse. And while he's telling her all this, we learn that Magnus hasn't had that great of a relationship with his mom, and his own mom definitely did not win any Mom of the Year awards.
I was 9 years old when my mother realized what my cat eyes meant. She couldn't live with the fact that she bore the son of a demon. So she took her life.
Wow, talk about heavy. I'm honestly really excited to see more of Magnus's backstory, and I really hope we get that going forward. Moving on to OMG moment number 2. Jace gets banned from basically working in the field by Aldertree, who is so ungrateful for Jace saving his life because the soul sword is now in Valentine's possession. Aldertree reveals that he would rather have had Jace let him die as long as the sword was kept out of Valentine's hands. Yeah. Okay, Aldertree, I see you there, but you can say that in hindsight, but you know you're stoked you're still alive. Don't lie. Since Jace can't lead the mission to the Iron Ladies, he convinces Izzy to basically ask for command, but unfortunately she's still pretty beat up and injured from the possession attack in the previous episode, and she has a venom infection, which leaves her much like Adam Banks from the Mighty Ducks 2. I just love making Mighty Ducks references, and I'll do it whenever I can. But she's basically pretending like she can perform when secretly she's hiding pain and everything hurts. Aldertree basically isn't fooled by Izzy trying to hide her pain and offers her a solution, aka some cream that I can't pronounce the name of, just basically like addictive painkillers, and led us to this really awkward OMG moment.
How's that?
Amazing.
I have a feeling that Aldertree is definitely up to something, or maybe he just wants to get in Izzy's pants? Not sure, but it'll be interesting to see where this develops with that magic cream that Izzy seems to be pretty addicted to already. Moments 3 and 4 come courtesy of our resident vampire, Simon. Simon has moved back home to hopefully keep his mom from going crazy, and to also kind of give him a little sanity, I think, a little normalness, see, that's not a word. What am I saying? His sister comes into his room and discovers his thermos full of blood. Now you know that can't be good. She determines that it's real blood and not fake blood, which Simon tries to say it is. And she goes and flushes it down the toilet, which means Simon is getting very, very hungry, which is not going to be good since he's holed up in that house. Now, as I was writing this, I was like, okay, so that's the OMG Simon moment. He loses his blood. But no, that was quickly bumped off the list by Simon finally telling his mom that he's a vampire.
I'm a vampire. I said it.
Yeah, she kind of accepts it pretty quickly, and they have this really nice bonding moment, which made me even kind of well up with a few tears.
I believe you. Yeah. Okay, it's gonna be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay.
Now, honestly, whether she fully believes Simon or not, that's really the question. She kind of plays it off really well, I think, because she knows she needs to comfort him at this moment in time. He seems very distraught. But I think that she thinks he's going through some kind of delusional phase, as later on we hear her on the phone trying to get a hold of a doctor. And my guess is that she's going to say that Simon thinks he's a vampire, which I don't know if that is a good idea. But this leads to OMG moment number 4, when she walks in on Simon after she hangs up the phone, and
Simon.
nothing like seeing a baby vampire feed for the first time, right? Now I'm up to my number 5 OMG moment. It's definitely a doozy and maybe the biggest moment in this entire episode. Now, Clary, obviously, as I mentioned before, she's on her quest to find a warlock who can bring her mother back from the dead. She searches through this warlock database, which she keeps looking over her shoulder like, don't look at what I'm doing, but it's a big computer screen in the middle of the institute that everybody can see. Anyways, besides that, she obviously ends up finding a very shady warlock, because only shady ones would commit dark magic, right? She walks into this house, and I would have immediately walked away when I saw this kid that looks like The Shining standing in the corner staring, but Clary isn't afraid. So she strikes a deal that she'll do a favor for this warlock in return for her bringing her mom back from the dead. Clary honestly really, should have gotten what that favor would be written on paper before agreeing to this, but sometimes you're blinded by love and trying to get a loved one back. While Iris is trying to bring Jocelyn back from the dead, Clary ends up backing out because, let's face it, nothing seems right about this. Clary tries to call off the deal, but Iris already has Clary's blood signed, sealed, and delivered. Womp. Womp. So what is Iris's favor that she needs? Well, that's basically where it gets a little weird and OMG-ish.
You are going to host one of my finest creations.
Host? What are you talking about?
Talking about having a baby, Clary. A baby warlock.
Yeah, Iris wants her personal demon to impregnate Clary. Demons can't get Shadowhunters pregnant, but don't worry, Iris, being the sneaky little witch that she is, has come up with a kind of elixir that she's already given to Clary that she thinks will help a demon impregnate a Shadowhunter. She's been making lots of girls get pregnant to carry babies in order to produce more warlocks because she's afraid Valentine's gonna wipe them all out. And let's just say, I don't think it's working very well, as the babies that have been produced aren't quite warlocks.
Cool girls.
I think Iris still has a few little kinks she needs to work out. She ends up throwing Clary in the basement where a demon comes to get it on with her, and that leads to OMG moment number 6. Clary has a vision! Clary ends up breaking her hands free, and this demon is coming to get her, and she all of a sudden sees an image of a rune, and she draws it on her hand quickly, and a bunch of light shoots out of her hand and kills the demon right as Jace happens to arrive. Sorry, Jace. No saving the damsel in distress this time. She could kick some ass herself. Jace reveals that Clary has basically just shot sunlight out of her hand, which is pretty freaking cool if you ask me. And he asks her how she knew to do that, and she explains that she had a vision of this rune, and of course he tells her to keep it between them. So those were my main OMG moments. I know you might have a few different ones, which I want to hear in the comments below. Also, a lot of other things happened in this episode, So let's just run through those really, really fast. We learned that Jace has been exonerated, basically for saving Aldertree's life, even though he's ungrateful for it. Lydia's improving. Alec and Clary finally have some bonding time in this episode, which I love, even if it's out of Alec's guilt. Valentine has 2 of the 3 mortal instruments, which definitely is not a good thing. We get a really good Malik moment. We get to see Izzy and Jace kick some ass in their training, which shows that Izzy can still kick butt even though she is hurt. And I just think the fighting scenes and the training scenes on the show are awesome. So anytime I get to see those, I get excited. And the last thing is that Luke is alive, but we're not quite sure where he is or what's going on with him, as there was only like 2 or 3 seconds at the very end of the show which we see him transforming somewhere in a forest and no one can find him. That was definitely a jam-packed episode of awesomeness, and I'm super excited for next week's episode because we finally get to meet the Iron Sisters, and more importantly, at least for I know a lot of fans out there, Magnus and Alec finally go on their first date. Let's just hope that it actually goes well, no demons, werewolves, or trouble, or anything get in the way. Although I have a feeling it might because it's Shadowhunters and that just happens. So what were your favorite moments from this episode? Are you excited to see how Sebastian will play into the series? Let me know all your thoughts on Dust and Shadows, and you can do that by leaving a comment below or tweeting me at Lisa_Heiser or at ShineOnMedia. And of course, I'll be back next week with another recap of Shadowhunters, and later this week with recaps of some other shows. Be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on, whatever shows that I decide to cover. And also, because I have some cool interviews with the casts of these shows. So you can click over here to see a recap of the first episode of Riverdale, as well as one of my recent interviews with the cast of Shadowhunters. They're amazing. Love them. Part of the reason that I also love this show. Thanks for hanging out with me on this episode of What Happened, and I will see you later.